Yesterday I just finished the boys' extra turnout pasture, and today, early in the morning, I got a delivery that I've been waiting on. The next thing on my list was to put up some more permanent shelters for the horses, and I ordered supplies to build one shelter as a test shelter. We still don't have our new well hooked up to the house, but this is something that I can get going on without that. I've got all kinds of little projects that I'm working with, and eventually I do need to get Bruce's halter on. Recently he has made some pretty significant improvements with me handling his head and his ears. While his teeth were coming in, he was quite nippy, but now he is so much better about it. He still does insist on a pretty significant amount of butt scratches in order to be motivated to learn something new. The jingling from the halter hardware is not a big deal for him anymore, but the one thing he's still having trouble with is me wrapping my arms around his neck to actually put the halter on. This is pretty common for a young horse, and I think if I position him with his butt to the fence that it will be a non-issue. He's starting to lose his patience for this morning, and I do have a lot to get done before the heat of the day. While I clean out Prim and Bruce's pen, I'm just going to leave his leather halter, and then I do have a tiny rope halter for him to explore as well. It's been pretty darn hot here, and Bruce doesn't run around as much as he has in the past. Lately, he's been doing a lot more napping out in the sun, but he still gets the zips after I work with him each session. I've had quite a few questions about when exactly I'm going to be weaning Bruce. As you can see, Prim is starting to get annoyed by all of his shenanigans. He has always been a little bit rude around nursing time, and now he has grown so much that Prim has decided that she is going to start reprimanding him. This is a very common natural progression for these young foals to go through. Instead of just arbitrarily separating Bruce one day, I am going to do it with the help of Prim. Bruce is still a few days away from being 3 months old, which is around the time when most people start to creep feed their babies. Creep feeding is just getting a separate space where Bruce can eat his own special ration every day. For the last month, Prim's milk production has slowed down a little bit. Over the next 2 months, it'll be reduced by half or even 2/3. Bruce was getting a little bit too much of the wrong nutrition in the very beginning. That's why his legs were a little bit contracted. They were switched over to a mostly grass hay, and Prim is on a ration balancer right now. Bruce does nibble on her feed every day, so he is getting some hard feed. I haven't decided how I'm going to set up the creep feed for Bruce. A lot of people will use special feeders that the baby's nose can only fit into. I had thought about turning Nigel's old little metal running shed into a special area for Bruce. If I made a special door that only Bruce can go through, then it would keep Prim out of his ration. Since Bruce was growing too fast when Prim was on the mare and full feed, I will probably get Bruce on a ration balancer. It is going to be a easier way for him to get concentrated nutrition without a high volume and excess carbohydrates. Bruce would need to consume 5 pounds of growth feed to keep up with his nutritional requirements. That is a lot of grain for a very small horse. The ration balancer, he should be able to eat a pound in the morning and a pound at night, so that'll work out a lot better. After Bruce's morning session, I had planned to get started on the first run-in shed. I did have a little bit of a nervous breakdown because I looked at the layout and there are a few things that I really do want to change. I'm also really hesitant to start in on the shelters when I'm not 100% sure where exactly we're going to be able to run the water lines. The new well is just kind of sitting until we can get some contractors out here. I've been working really hard for the last couple of months, so I thought it might be worth taking a few days to just relax and pump the brakes a little bit. Even though it's been pretty warm during the day, Charlotte still goes out in the afternoon for supervised time in the yard. Ivar really thinks that his territory is right around the house. He's not nasty to Charlotte, but he does do too much pouncing for my liking. At the end of the day, I thought it would be really beneficial if I were to lay out some of the pens that I want to put in. I've done it on an aerial view of the property, but this is going to give me a much better idea of the size and if I can efficiently move through the space with the Ranger. I have several pens thought up in my mind, but there are a few variables that aren't quite completed yet. We do have a few little roads that go across our irrigation ditch. There are some really big boulders in the way, and if I can see boulders on the surface of the ground, then underneath is probably going to be really tricky to trench for water lines. I've set up the step-in posts for the fence perimeter. This is going to be a smaller single horse pen. It is 40 feet wide and I'm not exactly sure how long I made it. I did a rough measurement by just walking in. It looks like it's going to be around 90 feet long.
What's wrong, Tiny?
Tiny, of course, was supervising the pen layouts. In my mind, I planned a dry lot for 1 horse and then another one for 2 horses and then a big one for either the boys or when I get all the mares together. The ground naturally does have a slope to it, and I went back and forth on whether I was going to level part of these pastures / dry lots or if I was going to level the entire thing. I do have quite a bit of dirt work to do around the whole property to get the pastures ready to reseed. I grossly underestimated the time I was going to need the skid steer to get everything done, so I will be renting another one for probably a whole entire month this time.
All right, Tiny. You hungry?
I think today it was really important for me to take a step back and reevaluate my plans. I was excited to get started on the shelters, but I do think that I am going to end up regrading some of the surface so everything is more level. It'll take a lot longer, but I think in the end I'll be more happy with it.
So cute. Let me see it.
I feel like I ended the day in a much better headspace. That could be the reason when I went to go do a few things with Bruce tonight, he just simply let me put his halter on. I wasn't even recording it, but I really just walked up to him, did the same things I've been doing, and then reached around his neck, slid his little halter on, and buckled it with no trouble. It is a relatively big milestone for a young horse like Bruce, but he doesn't seem to care too much. pretty standard practice to leave a young foal's halter like this on for them to get used to it. Bruce got a little bit annoyed and tried to scratch it off on Prim, which incited a little bit of running around from both of them. I'm just going to continue on with his training in the same fashion. Right now, the halter is more of a fashion accessory than anything else.
Hey, watch yourself with your kickers. Hey, get your butt out of here. Hey. Lucy.
Bruce is not going to wear his halter unsupervised, so I really would like to get it off this evening. He squirmed away, and I do think it is Prim's fault because she was still wanting to run around a little bit more.
He's crazy, Brucie.
I eventually got his halter off the exact same way I got it on. He just quieted down, stood still, and I slipped it off. Usually the very first haltering is easier than the second one. The next morning I was really interested to see if he would let me halter him again. It's very common for foals to try and escape the halter by backing up very quickly. Even a really well-prepared horse can get scared, back up, rear up, flip over, and whack themselves on the head. I really don't want Bruce to accidentally hurt himself, so I did position him so if he were to run backwards, he would hit the fence. I'm really glad I did because he did prove to be much more wiggly than he was the first time. Besides getting frantic for a few seconds and backing up, he really was a good boy for me to get the halter on. I am using a figure 8 leather halter, which is pretty common for foals. The design allows it to sit really snug on their face so they don't get a leg caught in it. I have been leaving Bruce's halter out in the sun and oiling it, so it is really super soft now. Once Bruce has the halter on, he really doesn't seem to mind it too much. This morning, I'm just going to observe him while I clean out their pen. It's really nice that he's coming over to investigate what I'm doing right after I put his halter on. As Bruce has been growing up and learning about the world, I've tried really hard to keep him curious and outgoing. Halter breaking can be a scary thing for a baby horse, and they are really fragile little beasts. It is pretty easy to accidentally hurt one even when you're trying not to. Before I even thought about putting a halter on Bruce, I made sure he understood how to ground tie. I've been grooming him every single day, and lately he's been standing still super good. I can walk all around his little body and brush him. I can pick up his feet as well. That is something that I do with all of my horses when I very first get them and they're not halter broke. It just kind of seemed to make sense to do it this way with Bruce as well. It works really good with fractious horses and Mustangs. Without the help of a halter and a lead rope to control them, you can really have a pretty good idea of if your horse is feeling comfortable or not. They always have the option to step away from whatever we're doing, and I think that little bit of free will really helps horses figure it out. With Sparkler, I did have her halter on before I started picking up her feet because she did have a little bit of fear-based aggression. Because Bruce was handled from such an early age, he is not afraid of humans at all, which makes it a little bit easier for him to relax around me and stand ground tied for all of the grooming. Typically in the morning, I feed Bruce and Prim their ration balancer first. They've got hay available 24/7 free choice. Bruce thinks it is the perfect spot to take a nap, so I have removed all of the shavings from their stall. I'm hoping it'll help cut down on the fly problem we're having. I haven't seen the turkeys around lately, and the difference in the flies is crazy.
Sneaky Brucie.
It's pretty exciting that for the most part, Bruce seems pretty content with his new little halter.
Huckleberry. You jealous? He's gonna bite you. See? That's a good boy. Ow, ow, Bruce. Better run, buddy. Better skeet her off. Let me check.
Recently, his little umbilical stump has finally dried up and fallen off. He does have just a little bit of skin that is pooching out, but it is not
That's
a
too
hernia.
close with your butt.
It should flatten out in a month or so, I would imagine.
Sorry.
Because I did do some introduction with Bruce on pressure and release before his halter was on, he has picked up a few things rather quickly.
Bye, Brucie.
Just like when they get the halter on for the first time, any pulling on the halter generally elicits these really young horses to pull back against you. For Bruce, I'm just going to start some very simple pressure and release only when he's set up in a position where he can't run backwards. He is really smart, so I don't think he's going to have very much trouble with this next step. I have been finding tons of wasps' nests around. They seem to really like it inside all of these metal poles for the shelters. We have a ton of nests around our house. They've been building them under the lip of the horse water troughs. I got stung pretty bad a couple days ago on my hand, so I am not messing around with these little things anymore.
Come on. Look at that cute.
Bruce still has a pretty short attention span, so I usually do 5 to 10 minutes of work with him and then go around and do some more chores. He's really good about coming over to the fence when he's ready to learn more.
Oh, Ivar. Hey, little man. Look at how cute.
The garden has been getting a little bit overrun, and I did notice a surprise pumpkin when I was weeding yesterday. I cannot believe it got this big before I even noticed it.
Brucie, what's wrong? Oh, good boy. There you go. There you go. What's wrong?
Since removing the halter requires a completely different motion, Bruce does not mind that at all. Once he gets a little bit more comfortable, I'll probably start reaching around his neck and taking it off similarly to how it gets put on. I probably won't really start in on teaching him how to lead until he'll stand perfectly still to get haltered. It could be another day or two, or it might take a little bit longer than that. I would like to get Bruce and Prim out into a larger turnout area, but for me to feel safe leading them across the property, I do need to have Bruce halter broke. Bruce is a little bit too outgoing and brave to stick close enough to Prim while on a walk.
Brucie!
Bruce is still unbothered by all of the other big horses. I have yet to see him clack at anyone, even Nigel, and he tends to get a little bit overexcited to see Bruce on his walks. By the time I was done with evening chores, Huckleberry was pretty tuckered out. The next morning it was wild to see some of the zinnias had opened overnight. I don't have any drip lines or anything in for this garden yet, so I am still hand watering it.
We're eating.
I have noticed because of the heat, the clover and alfalfa around the garden have been really springing up, which presents the perfect opportunity to give Bruce a little extra snack in the morning. He had a little bit of trouble figuring out how to bite it off in smaller pieces, so I just tossed it in his pen to investigate. It is really exciting that Bruce likes me so much. He comes over to ask me to work with him every day. He is interested in every single little thing I do.
That's a nice boy. It's a real nice boy. Yeah, itchy ears?
I think he's almost excited to get his halter on today. I want to keep him in his routine, so I am doing a quick grooming session with him. I check his little belly button and then scooch him over into the best position to get the halter on. He wiggled a tiny little bit, but really nothing terrible. I have a bunch of discounted plants that I bought a few weeks ago that I really need to get into the ground. This morning I'm going to be digging a bunch of holes and putting some fig trees in next to the apple trees.
Buddy? That's terrible. Oh, there are hay piece in it.
I'm way too excited about these $5 fig trees I secured. Altogether, I planted 5 fig trees, 2 blackberry bushes, and 3 raspberry bushes. I situated them all along what will be the future fence line. It's on my list of things to do, but I have not decided on exactly what type of fence I'll be putting up. I took a few hours to putz around in the garden while Bruce wore his new halter around his pen. It really hasn't taken him too long to get to the program. He does know when it starts heating up, I will take his halter off. He is turning into such a nice little horse with very good manners. I'm really excited to see how he matures the next 3 months. rest of the day I spent bopping around town with my husband. It was nice to have a few days to kind of rest my mind and reset. The permanent shelters are going to have to wait a little bit longer, but all of the horses have everything they need right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.